Today we're talking about Daryl Dixon, Season 3, Episode 4. Welcome to Screens in Focus, the podcast where we talk about TV and movies. I'm Diana. Renee is here. Renee, how are you?
I am doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to talk about this action-packed episode. But before we get to that, we're going to pose our question of the day. And that is, what was the coolest weapon in this episode? Paz's whip, the machine gun, flaming walkers, or something else? Okay, so think about that. Friends out there, think about that. What was the coolest weapon you saw in this episode? And we'll answer it later on. So this week gave us action-packed siege, burning walkers, Cooper's tragic death, Carol and Daryl kicking ass, Antonio and Fede's shady secret, and Roberto's heartbreak over Justina. So I want to know right off, Renee, what are 3 words that describe this episode to you?
Eventful, emotional, and action-packed.
I love that. And mine are flames, fury, and friendship.
Good.
All right. So, So I'm sure we're going to talk about these as we break down the episode. So, in thinking about this episode, what were the highlights or what important beats stuck out to you?
I love the action again in this one. You know, it was kind of the first couple episodes were not so much, and then we kind of built up, and the last 2 have been, very action-packed, which just always, I don't know, it just always reminds you of the original Walking Dead. I know we didn't get that every episode, but it was just, they were very, I don't know, these big over the top, action scenes and things happening and being attacked and all that. So I really loved it. But I thought it was very interesting that this new group, we're like, who are they? We've been asking that since we saw the first one, they were masked people and all that. And that their goal is to destroy. And, I felt like Carol when she was like, why? What's the point of this? Yeah. So, but I thought it was very interesting. And then I feel like Fede is like unraveling. He is just, everything's just happening. And I just feel like he's just slowly unraveling. And I don't know, he could go crazy and attack somebody or something or go another way. I don't know. But I'm very interested to see what happens with him. And I just have this feeling that Daryl and Carol are going to have some kind of altercation. I don't know. I just feel like, we know they'll get over it. They always do, but I just feel like it's building to something. And I could be totally wrong. But that's just the vibe I'm getting because it seems like they're both politely disagreeing with each other on almost every turn.
True.
Yeah. So those are the major highlights for me. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are the major highlights for me too because action packed. How could you ignore that? That's like it was so big, it was so epic, it was nonstop. That segment in the town was like so long and I was impressed with it. I truly was. I thought it just brought so much. We'll dig a little deeper into that, but that truly was the highlight. And of course, these masked people that we met. And it's so funny. Last week, I said something about who are they going to be protected against? And you said, oh, the masked people that we met earlier. I had totally forgot. And when you said that, I was thinking about the previews and seeing this new group of people. I'm like, but they seem kind of nice and they might help out. And that's who I was thinking about when you said the masked people, but you meant the ones that came and when Carol and Daryl first got there and they went through all their stuff. So this totally makes sense. And they are kind of crazy. You're right. Like just destroying things. They're going to burn it all down. And it's like, oh man, that's kind of crazy. And with that, we got to see Daryl and Carol be their badass selves. And that's what I had mentioned in the last episode. I knew we were getting to that and I couldn't wait to see it. And man, it was so good watching the both of them. They're like pros at what they do. They know how to do it. They help other people. And, but it feels real. Like they don't look like they're, some superhero, it feels like a real, true, lived in person fighting. And so I love that. And you mind you, they're not young people.
Yeah.
So to see them do what they do is just really incredible, and just so much credit to them as actors,
Yeah.
being able to do that. The one moment in here that made me sad was Cooper's role and his sad death. And I know he was hardly in it, but
Mhm.
something about him, I liked him. And
Yeah, I did too.
oh, I like this guy. And it's funny, I kept calling him Connor in my notes. I'm like, Connor, Connor. I'm like, no, it's not Connor, it's Cooper. So if I say the wrong name, friends out there, you can tell me, or Renee, you can tell me, because I'll
Okay.
interchange their names, because for some reason, Cooper and Connor sound the same to me for some reason. All right. So, in talking about Daryl and Carol and their badass selves, like you said, there were a lot of moments, and you're wondering, wow, are they going to end up colliding a little bit? And we saw some of that in this, not anything big, but just kind of button heads just a little
Mhm.
bit. And one huge highlight that I do want to talk to, but segueing our way into Daryl and Carol, is Valentina saying, "Oh, your boyfriend, he doesn't like to take advice." And she's all, "Boyfriend? No, we're just friends." And she's all, "You mean you never?" And she's all, "Never." And Daryl's all, "Nope."
Nope.
Walks away. I'm like, whoa, that was so it made me laugh. I laughed.
Yeah.
But then of course my wheels start turning. So I want to know what you thought about that moment.
Well, I love the scene. I thought it was just subtle, and it was a little humorous. And I mean, even Valentina never, you've never, like, she was shocked, just because of seeing them together for that little bit. So had a little bit of humor in it, and it's the
In
answer
her
I've
way.
always,
In
yeah.
her way, right? Her way of being, she's
Yeah.
all, what the heck? Seize those moments.
Exactly. Well, and that's the answer I've always wanted to hear, because I just never wanted them to be any more than kindred spirits. I just have always seen them that way. I've never seen them as a romantic couple, which I know there's so many people against me on that, which is great, because they are good together. No, you can't deny that. But I just never saw them romantically. But I love, there was an interview, I think it was Entertainment Weekly, where they talked to Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride about this scene specifically. And Norman said, "Well, that Valentina, she's very sexually free, so she thinks everyone's hooking up." I thought that was hilarious. And then Melissa said something about how did she put, like, it was a fun scene to do, it was light and this and that. And then she looks, I guess she gave the interviewer kind of a mischievous grin and said, "But it could always, it's something about being a little ambiguous." And then so his parting comment in the article said, "And here comes a flood of YouTube comments," or something like that, because they just always have to comment on those things. So it was really cute. So anyway, I loved it, just because it's the answer I've always wanted to hear, and I loved how they set it up, and it was unexpected, because everyone's always wondered, oh, what's going on with those two. So I loved it.
I I loved it because it was funny, and I liked how they addressed something that was so important in this world. But I started thinking, well, it's interesting because sometimes people do things outside of what we see, right? And we don't know it until they
Yeah.
say it. And so then you're like, "Oh, oh wow." But the fact that they confirmed it is kind of
Mhm.
crazy, right? Because they're like, "Nope, never." Uh,
Nope.
but Carol kept like kind of looking at Valentina and looking at him. And then it was kind of like, okay, why is she doing that? What does
Yeah.
that mean? Is it like, oh, I hadn't seen him that way before. And now
Mhm.
I don't know. Like so now it intrigues me. If that was that it, is that all they're
Mhm.
going to give us? Or now is something I don't know. Like I had told you that if they're never together, I'm fine with it. I'm
Yeah.
totally fine with it because they're ride or die. Their friendship is
Mhm.
so close and I'm good with it. And, but I don't know where we're going. So it'll just be, it's an interesting thing to have between
Yeah.
them and to wonder about it. So, but just Daryl's nope. And
Yeah.
just going off was
I just thought that was
hilarious.
hilarious. He kind of just leaned in for emphasis, like,
Yeah, yeah.
nope.
It's
Yeah,
so
sure.
them. They're so
Mhm,
good at their roles. They're like
mhm,
it's so them, and that's why we all love it and love them,
mhm.
these characters.
I loved how
Uh,
she stuttered over everything and to be out. We're not. We're like she like how do I say this? She was
yeah,
like tripping over her
yeah,
words trying to get it out.
yeah. Well, and when Antonio asks, "Oh, when are you guys leaving?" and they said when, and he kind of hesitated, paused because he's probably all, "Shoot, I don't want Carol to leave." And
Mhm.
Daryl's all like looking at him and looking at her like, "What's happening here? Am I missing something?" So that was interesting too, right? Because
Mhm,
he's like, "Hey, what have I not noticed that's happening here?"
mhm.
What else did you see with Carol and Daryl?
Well, Carol is carrying heavy guilt about Justina, and that's weighing on all her decisions, and just she's trying to step in and do all these things, which like you would think, being in a different country and things, you think you kind of watch, but not Carol. She's just like, this needs to happen, I need to help these people, I need to do these things. She's just doing them. And I wonder, like, if her and Antonio go off to find Roberto, they're gonna go look for him, if that will draw them closer, to see, just because we keep being teased about this, that we don't know what this relationship is between her and Antonio, and it may go nowhere other than
Right,
just friendship, which
right.
it could very well be. But I'm like, you're gonna be looking for his son, and you're gonna be doing just together, just the two of you, and I just kind of curious as to what that what will happen between the two of them on that journey. But yeah, she's definitely carrying that guilt, and I feel really bad for her because she just wants to help people, and she's just in that mindset right now where I mean, she always is very helpful to people, and cares for people, but she talked to her, and then it just like she took off, and it was like she just feels like it was all her fault. And she says that even, this was my
Yeah,
fault, so that
yeah.
was, yeah, sad for Carol,
Yeah, and then when Antonio asked her if she had any kids,
Mhm,
and she says, "Not anymore." Isn't that what she
mhm.
says? Something like
So
"not
yeah.
anymore."
Mhm,
And even though it wasn't, she didn't convey it, sadly, we all knew the
yeah.
weight of that.
Mhm,
And he does too, right? Because
mhm,
once you have a child,
yeah.
you always miss them, you always think about them. It's
Mhm,
just that she's not she still loves them, she still misses them. It's just that she's not uh, stuck in that grief that she was. She's,
mhm, yeah,
and this is just a reminder. I have had kids, and this is so Carol because
yeah.
she's so nurturing and so loving that she doesn't have kids, but now she's worried about these young people because
Mhm,
that's what she does, right? She
mhm,
something takes that spot for her. And so now with her telling Daryl, like, watching that young love, it's like, I'm rooting for them. I'm
mhm,
rooting for that. And she kind of balances Daryl out because he's resistant to that.
yeah.
So, what did you think about Daryl in this episode?
So I just like, there's a lot going on with him, but I feel like, he is just so heartbroken over losing Isabel, of not being with Laurent. He's trying to hide it. And I know that's his little comment he said about my mistake was, getting close to people or whatever. We all know that was just Daryl's way of coping with it. Trying,
Yeah.
like, doesn't bother me, whatever. That was just a mistake I made. But, he you catch him being pensive, and he's looking, and he's does all these things. And then all that childhood trauma is coming back for whatever reason. And so it hasn't affected him to be a fighter and things like that. He's on his game there. But when it's the quiet moments, that's why I think when it seeps in, and then he remembers that they're gone from his life. Isabel gone forever, but Laurent, he doesn't know. And so it's just interesting to see him going through this, these emotions, because he usually just blows everything off and he won't
Right.
express any emotion. So it's
Right.
just it's interesting little journey here for Daryl with his heartbreak and things.
Yeah. And that part that you had just said when he says, "Oh, it was a mistake in France getting involved in other people's business," and they're both working on the boat, and that's when she says, "Look, I'm rooting for them," and then he says that, and she says, "Well, I don't believe that. You act like you
Mhm.
don't care," and then
Yeah.
he gets like pissed off. It kind of like
Mhm.
makes him mad, and he hurts himself or hammers his
Song
hand
or yeah,
finger. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know. Who knows what? kind of swears, throws down the thing, and takes off. And she just kind of looks at him, and it's so like such like a friendship.
Yeah.
So uh, just shows that you can get irritated with your friend or whoever it is, your partner or whatever it might be. But I mean, you still love each other and everything else. Just that they're stirring up feelings in you, and so Carol is stirring up these feelings in him. He's like, "What makes you think I don't care? Of course I care." Just but her basically holding a mirror up to him, look, it doesn't look like
Yeah.
you care because you're acting this way and you're reacting this way. But it's true that he is still grieving. He's still grieving Isabel. He's still grieving Laurent. And he's thinking, wow, when I get involved with people, this is what happens. I get
Yeah.
hurt. I don't want to get hurt. I want to step back. I mean, look, he was caring about Roberto Roberto. Now Roberto's mad at him for that. And then he didn't even like this Cooper kid.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he was gonna like this Cooper kid because oh, like you're gonna get me home, and oh, he's showing me how to tie knots. And so then he's all okay, you can go with us, and then he dies. So it's like, damn, everybody that I even give a slight inch to
Yeah.
is taken from me. So why am I exposing myself to that? And you're right, all those we keep seeing all of those flashbacks of his childhood, and we know something's coming. What it is, what will be revealed,
Yeah.
we will find out. But I actually, that's probably one of my favorite threads that we're seeing. I really want to know. And I love that they're giving us just a little bit, and
Yeah.
what is going to be revealed and what are we going to know, and how is it going to break us when we
Yeah.
find that out, because it doesn't, I'm sure it'll be sad or heart tugging, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, their teamwork to me really revealed itself even more in here. They fight together, they trust each other, they, have such growth even under pressure, and they're just so badass. So themes, as we're talking about trust, what themes stood out to you in this episode?
There's so much conflict in this episode. It seems like you got Daryl and Carol not agreeing on everything. You got Antonio and Fede, whatever's going on there, and then Roberto and Fede. You got that going on. There's just so, and then of course just the big conflict of the people coming in and the whole community's having to fight. There's just a lot of conflict in this episode. And so it's some of this, like Daryl and Carol, we know they'll come through it. They'll something maybe happen, but they'll be okay. But we don't know the rest of these people. So what's going to happen with Roberto running off? That is not a smart thing to do. The kid knows that's not a smart thing to do, but he does it. And then we still don't know all the details of what's going on with Fede and Antonio. So there's just a lot of conflict that, we don't know how these people are going to react to all this.
There are a lot of themes in this, which I actually really love. And of course there's conflict, and that's what we see all over. But I also saw, which I just touched upon with Carol and Daryl, is loyalty and friendship and personal sacrifice under chaos. Because even when Carol is like, I'm leaving, I'm going to go help find Roberto with Antonio. And Daryl's like, oh, damn, like I can't just let her go. I mean, he doesn't say that, but that's going on through his head. He didn't want to go. He's like, oh, he's a grown man. Let him make his own choices. He doesn't need us. He knows what he's doing. And then Carol's taking off. He's all like, damn, I got to go follow her. I can't let her go. I don't want anything to happen to her. Also, I think he cares about Roberto too. I think he's just not admitting it because he doesn't want to care about him. So, first off, it is Carol. That's his friend. He's loyal and he's going to go with her. And then also to help because he feels guilty, because Roberto even said, she's gone because of you, because you made us come back. And I told you this was going to happen. And you just, let it be, which kind of rolls into the love and fury that I saw too, because Roberto is fuming. And what's so interesting, when they were in that big battle that was happening in their town, I kept saying, where is Alcazar? Like, where are they?
Yeah.
I thought that's what they were giving up their daughters for. I told it to my husband. I'm like, what's happening? Why aren't they
Yeah.
there? They said they were going to do it. And then Roberto said the same thing. I'm like, see,
Mhm.
he, where is that happening? And then, of course, Fede's out like, oh, we wouldn't have been able to do this without their guns. I guess that's true. I didn't think about that aspect because
Yeah.
there was a lot of weapons and that did help them, defend their town. But I still was right there with Roberto. It's like, gosh, we gave up all of these, and he
Mhm.
names all of everyone that has been sacrificed here. And for what? You still have your town on fire and so many
Mhm.
lives lost. And how is that helping? That's not. So I felt his fury
Oh
here,
yeah. Mhm.
and their love drives this, emotional tension that keeps moving forward and that
Yeah.
everybody is responding to throughout this episode and this whole series. Also, you had mentioned Antonio and Fede's secret, and I started wondering what could this secret be? What is it that they're hiding? And maybe it's we need to know more about it than we do. But one thing that crossed my mind was that what if what if Fede loved Antonio's wife, or I assume it was his wife. I don't know if
Mhm.
it was his wife, but what if he had an affair with her? What if Roberto was his son and that's why he can't be with Justina because they're cousins, right? So that went through my mind. But then I kind of, backpedaled on that because why wouldn't he be kinder if it was his son?
Mhm.
And why would his right hand guy try shooting him when he's trying to leave?
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, maybe that's not it. But I know that there's something, there's
Yeah.
some family secret. And I kept thinking, well, why wouldn't you want two people to be together? And the only reason I kept thinking is they're related, right?
Mhm.
Somehow. And
Yeah.
maybe that's why, but then the way he was reacting to him, I'm like, no, maybe that's not it. I don't know. So I have, I'll be curious to know because I'm sure this will be revealed at
Oh
some
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But were there any other themes before we move into the?
Well, I just touched on the emotion on my notes. I touched on the emotions again, especially with Daryl. Just like with those flashbacks of what's going on there, and it's concerning because it's like that can it could affect him, and
Yeah,
could make something bad happen and whatever. So I had that just and emotions there. Emotions are high for lots of them. There's just so much
yeah,
going on. But Daryl, that's he's always our focus. So yeah.
yeah. What about the cinematography in this episode?
That fight scene was like you said, it went on forever, and like you're like watching, this is still the same fight. It's still happening, but I'm always intrigued by the choreography of it all
Yes.
because it's like, how can this, I mean, how do they do all this? It just blows my mind, and I that just makes it so to know all the effort that by everybody that went in to make this happen and to make it look. I read somewhere, so I didn't read the article, but the title was, did The Walking Dead just go full on Game of Thrones or something like that? It's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
think they did. So yeah, I sit there and think about how, like, and kind of like you were saying, some of these actors are older, and it's like not, just it's not as easy to do these things, and they're just doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just love that the way they did everything with that.
I have that down to the fight choreography. It was epic because it truly was, and everybody recognized it because I saw the headlines of the same articles that
Mhm.
you had said too with Game of Thrones, and also having that Mad Max energy
Yes, love that.
because yeah, those attacks by those people and just their vehicles with
Mhm.
the walker heads on them. It's just like it was very cool because
Yeah,
it was very cinematic. It felt like a movie that we were
yeah.
seeing or really show with a this show must have had a bigger budget than normal because you're right to have that scene, to have this town, to have the vehicles, to have the weapons, to have those fire walker bombs happen, to have the arrows on the beach, the shooting that was happening, the even and just the again, I have to mention the beautiful scenery, even the quiet moments. There was a moment they shot the beach. I think the sun was setting. My husband even commented, "Oh, look at that. That's beautiful."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, truly it was." I really do. I liked it all, but something about the beach scenes, I don't know, I love those scenes. They I don't know. I really enjoyed those scenes, but the town one was just such an epic fight. And then just seeing pause with that whip and going, they went into the house and
Yeah.
just having a fight in there and
Mhm.
watching Roberto defend himself and her helping him and just everybody, Daryl over here and Carol over here and then even Fede
Yeah.
being, fighting and getting that arrow in him.
Mhm.
And oh, I loved the moment when Carol was helping him and she was about to shoot somebody and she's all shit, 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 because it felt so real. I would be
Yeah.
saying the same thing. I'd be like, shit, shit, this isn't working. Help me. And then it's his
Yeah.
mother. It's his mother that ends up shooting whoever it was
Mhm.
to help them out. So it was so cool. I just thought it was so great. Okay, we are going to get to our rapid fires. I'm going to ask you 3 questions, Renee, and you're going to give me your first gut reaction.
Okay.
What was your favorite fight moment from the episode?
Well, there were tons, but I really liked the fact that they used the walkers kind of as their first line of defense.
Yeah.
So that was genius. And they kept putting them in that fence. We knew we'd seen them how many times, so you knew they were going to play a role at some point. And so I just thought that was a genius way to kind of scramble whoever's coming to attack and everything. So I just thought that was very cool. It was a neat use of the walkers, and it was turned out to be a very cool scene and everything. So I like that a lot.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. I'm so glad you brought that up. That was so cool. Okay, so everything in the town was so good and I loved it. But like I just mentioned, I really love the beach scenes. There's something about them. And I really liked seeing Daryl and Carol fighting on the beach. I felt like they were even more badass there because I felt like they were holding it all together and just
Yeah.
Carol shoots that one guy coming at her and then the other one comes and he kind of, it was so funny the way he walked out and she shoots him. And I don't know, there was just something about that scene. And then when Daryl had to go shoot Cooper from turning. So just that whole segment there,
Yeah.
I would say that was my favorite fight moment from the episode. Okay, what was the biggest surprise?
That the Walking Dead universe finally answered the age-old question of Daryl and Carol's relationship
Oh,
status. I was like, oh, yay. It was a fun way to get an answer to that. And I just thought it was a great time to put that in there. It was very unexpected. So, yeah.
damn, that was a good one. And I didn't think about it. I'm going to say was the Walker Fireball. It was like, what?
What's happening?
There are actually walkers coming out of this bit. How did they get like a ball of walkers? Okay, and they're like, okay, we're loading you up, and then we're gonna pull it back,
Fling.
and then you're gonna go. Okay, and then all their pieces come out, and they come out. I'm like, how are they still whole? I don't know how that worked, but it was still a
Yeah, it
cool
was very
thing to
cool.
see. So that was a big surprise.
Yeah.
And was there a disappointing moment for you?
I guess disappointed. I guess just because they killed that Cooper already, and it's like, come on, you can't guess and get these people in here, and then guess. Oh, I like this guy, like you said, and it's like, oh, now he's dead. I was so excited for him. He just wanted to go home, and he was kind of like this breath of fresh air. You got, him and Daryl, and you got, Daryl grumble, grumble over here, and then you got this guy just happy to make the knots and happy to just go, So it was. I just get tired of them killing the new people off all the time. Introduce them and they're dead. So that was disappointing.
I have the same thing. That's what I was disappointed. I'm like, I like this guy, and then they killed him.
Mhm.
But then at the same time, if they don't kill somebody,
I know.
then we know if it's just some bystander walking by and they get killed, it doesn't mean anything to us.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it's just circumstance or casualty
Yes.
or whatever it is.
Better
So
him than Daryl. So
yes, exactly. Better Connor than someone else. But at the same time, it's like what I love though is that they make these characters that we do like, right? So that's a
Mhm.
credit to the writing, the direction, and the actor himself. The fact
Mhm.
that he was able to, even with a few lines, make us like him,
Yeah.
says a lot. And so I thought that that was a great moment for him, and it was good. Just like the actor in Dead City, the violinist, he was just so great in that scene too. So I know
Yeah.
that's another series, but still, it's all in the Walking
Yeah.
Dead
It's all
universe.
it's all the
So
same world. Yeah.
yeah. So, all right, I have a screen bite for you. And this week it is Cooper mentions Monterey Bay. And the fun fact is, it's close to me, so I know what the heck he's talking about because he talks about banana slugs. And I don't know if anybody is aware of them, thinks about them, knows about them, but in sixth grade here, you go to a place called Redwood Glen when you're in sixth grade, and you go, and I mean, it's been happening since I was a kid, and it still happens today. So it's been happening a long time. But you go into the Santa Cruz area, which is close to Monterey Bay, and you learn. You're there for like 3 or 4 days. It's kind of like a big thing for sixth graders because a lot of people haven't been away from their parents. So I just remember it was like, this is so cool. I get to go somewhere for 3 or 4 days and stay in these bunk beds and hang out with these schoolmates. And, it was just interesting. But anyway, we all were introduced to a banana slug and we got to touch it if we wanted to. We even got to like lick it, like lick it if we wanted to, which is sounds awful for people
Yeah.
who don't or won't. But anyway, that's what a banana slug is. And it is UC Santa Cruz, their mascot. So I thought it was so interesting that he said this. So it makes me think that somebody on the show, a writer or showrunner, director,
Yeah.
somebody must have some affiliation with Monterey Bay and banana slugs because
Yeah.
why would they make what's his name again? I don't want to say his
Cooper.
name wrong. Cooper. I guess swear to God. Cooper Connor. Cooper, who thought that he would be from California and that specific spot. And if anybody has never been to Monterey Bay, it's beautiful and you would love it. It's got beautiful beach scenes and just a great place to vacation, beach town. So, anyway, that's my little screen nugget. Do you know anything about banana slugs yourself?
I do not. I just got an education just right now, so that's exciting. I'll go tell my family and they'll think I'm so smart.
They're really big and they're like yellow.
Okay.
And then I read, okay, I didn't know this because they probably taught it to me, but I didn't know. But they're like, I can't remember how it goes, but they can be like male, female. Like they can, I think, impregnate or however that works. I
Yeah.
don't know in snail world, but that's how they reproduce. I guess I didn't learn that much or I didn't retain from sixth grade,
Yeah.
but I did read that. All right, let's get back to our question of the day. And that is, what was the coolest weapon in this episode? Paz's whip, the machine gun, or the flaming walkers, or something else? What do you think, Renee?
I was impressed with her whip welding skills, and as I am impressed with anyone that can do that, because I think I would probably hurt myself severely if I ever tried doing that. I was thinking of it. I think it's like Indiana Jones when it was Phoenix had played him as a young kid, and he does the whip and snaps himself in the face or something like that, and that would be me.
Yeah.
So no, I thought that was just really cool, and her to run up there and do all that. So yeah, I was impressed with that.
I was impressed with that too, and I'm going to agree with you because I already said the flaming walkers was a fun surprise, and the machine gun, yeah, that's pretty good, but it's so everyday, right? So let's go with the whip because that's a really cool thing to have, and to be able to do what she did with it, and I'm sure she had to do some training, and so I did like seeing her use that. So I'm going to agree with you. And friends out there, what do you think? What was the coolest weapon in this episode? Leave us a comment here on YouTube if that's where you're watching us. If you're listening to us, you can go to any of our social media, which can be found on our website, and that is listed in our show notes. You can even call us at 669-223-8542 and leave us a voicemail on what you think, or you can leave anything, any type of a message about this episode, what your favorite part was, or anything else that we talked about, or correct us on anything we have wrong, or what your favorite part of this episode is. We would love to know. So that's how you can get a hold of us. It's all in the show notes. Okay, Renee, what are you looking forward to in the next episode? I was going to say besides the railroad, which they are showing previews. Okay. But
I was not going to say that because I've said it every other episode. So I thought I'm going to change my answer. So my answer is I'm excited to see where this season takes Daryl and Carol, because we're getting to the end of it. We've only got 3 episodes left. But I also, the preview for the next episode, they talk about Barcelona. And so I'm excited to see what happens with all that. So I changed my answer. I don't have the same answer.
But they do show it. They do
Yes.
show it. So I think I'm excited in the previews. They do show us new people, and I like that. And so I feel like they're moving. So I'm like, wait, are they going to go back there? Are they going to stay here? Like now I'm confused, not confused, but now I'm wondering, are we already transitioning to another place? So I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I also want to know who took Roberto and Justina, because from what I gathered, right, Roberto picked up Justina when she went to go look at the horse, and he was the person in the background, probably got her, put her in the car. They took off. Somebody ran them off the road or did something and then pulled them out, because that's what it looks like in the flashback to me. But the people did not look like the masked people. They look like other people. They look like regular dressed people. So I'm like, who's this now? I am so interested to know who these people are. There's so many questions, so I'm very excited, thrilled about that. Did you have any thoughts on that ending that we saw?
Well, because I just figured I guess I just didn't think that deeply into it. I thought that would just be what are they called? The bad guys.
The Alcazar or Guillermo's group.
Guillermo's group. There you go. Because that's who took her. Like they escorted her out of the town.
True,
That's
it
who
could have been.
Yeah. So but I guess I didn't pay that much attention to see if like if they were if they looked like that group or not. But then that's interesting. If maybe somebody came upon him, killed those guys, and then took the kids or something. So yeah. But you can definitely tell if something is moving. I don't know if we're gonna go back to where they're at, but it seems like it is moving, the story. But that could be moving to go on into the next season, because we are getting down, to the last episode. So yeah, I'll have to watch that final episode or final scene again.
Well, you may not get, because it's all blurry, right? They don't really show you anything. So it's hard to tell. The only reason I thought it was someone new was then what was the point of her getting away with him without us seeing it, and then them getting in an accident and then someone taking them? Because then why would they even have her escape if I don't know, I don't know, but then maybe it was to get Roberto. Maybe it was to get him. Maybe that was the point, to grab him. But they could have grabbed him if he was trying to get her. I don't know. It's all so mysterious. And my brain's always working like, what's happening? Who are these people? Do I recognize them? All right. That was a great conversation, Renee. I love this episode. You saying we have 3 episodes left totally freaks me out. I can't believe it. No wonder this episode was so good. We're heading towards something. So anyway, all right. That's our wrap up of Daryl Dixon. Come back for episode 5, where we're going to break it all down with you. We are transitioning to our TV and movie recommendations. So Renee, I would love to know, what are you watching?
Well, I'm watching too many series right now because I can't keep up. But anyway, I started House of Guinness. I've only watched about half of the first episode, but I'm already in it. I'm like, this just looks it. I read somewhere someone kind of they compared it to kind of like Succession, kind of like that, kind of the adult children taking over the empire kind of thing, and this and that. I was like, oh, that's an interesting, because it's a historical period drama, and it's from the makers of Peaky Blinders, and you could definitely feel that James Norton and Jack Gleason are in it, so that's kind of fun. And there's a lot of familiar faces. There were a couple people I looked up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's who that is. So it was kind of fun to see those. But yeah, so far, like I said, just half of the first episode. But I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? I'm very interested in it. So that's on Netflix. I did start Hotel Costiera, I think is how you say it. It's on Prime Video. It's an action drama with Jesse Williams in it, and it's light. It's very light. It's not like you don't feel like it's, I don't know, just everything's very light about it, because they're in this hotel and this beach and this all this stuff, and then he does his job and whatever gets asked of him from different people or whatever. But yeah, it's fun. It's a fun one. And I think I just watched a couple episodes of that, but I like that. Then movies. So I have been dying to watch Clown in a Cornfield. And we start spooky movie season as soon as we can. And we've been kind of lax this year. So anyway, so we watched it. It's on Shudder. It's a campy, cheesy slasher. And if you don't like that, don't watch it. You won't like it. But it's fun. It's goofy. It's, you know, and I love those kind of horror movies. You might like more dark ones too, but you know, sometimes you just want a slasher, you know. So that was pretty good. And then we finally watched 28 Years Later. So we've been wanting to watch that too. Didn't get to the theater. And I just thought it was excellent. I thought it was very, you know, very different than the first two movies, but yet in that vein, you know, but then I also feel it's doing a lot of world building and setting up for more. So I thought it was really good.
I love that. So, anybody, if you're looking for a review on that, I just put out a podcast on 28 Years Later, and I also did one 28 days and 28 weeks combined. So, look for those if you like that whole franchise. And I can't wait because the next one's coming out January. So, 28 Years Later, Bone Temple. So, it'll be exciting to see it. Oh, I just love that. So, I, like you, have been watching, I've started so many that I'm like in overload because I can't even finish all the ones that I started. And some are renewing. And with reality TV back on, I started The Voice. I'm such a fan of The Voice. I love singing. It makes me feel good to hear the judges. If no one is watching, the judges currently are Michael Bublé, Reba McEntire, Niall Horan, and Snoop Dogg. Those are the current ones for this season. But it's just so entertaining. One, to hear them sing, and also the coaches to banter with each other. It's just a fun show. I love it. Survivor started again, so that's out there. Dancing with the Stars is out there. So that takes up so much of my time, but I have my regular shows. The morning show has started back, but I've barely seen one episode. I can't believe it. I can't get caught up because there's so many other things I'm trying to stay on top of. But I am a fan of that show. And if you haven't seen it, go watch that. Tulsa King, I mentioned last week, the first episode was out. Episode 2, I watch it. It's on Sundays. It's so good. I love it. Sylvester Stallone. It's such a good show. So I'm really savoring that. I like that they only drop one episode each week. Ride with Norman Reedus that we both just talked about. I watched the 3rd episode with Zahn McClarnon, and they're in New Mexico. They both talk about Robert Redford, which I thought was so heartfelt. And if you love Robert Redford, go check out the short bonus podcast episode that Renee and I put out just about a week or 2 weeks ago. So, but it was great to see Norman and Zahn, and they're just good buddies, and I really enjoyed seeing that. And for movies, I watched one movie, and it's called Until Dawn. It's on Netflix. Horror. My son's all, "Oh, watch it. I know you're going to like it." So me and my husband watch it. We did fall asleep. It's a horror, and we fell asleep for just a few minutes. Then we woke up. I will tell you, it is a slasher, and what it is this group of a group of 4 young people get to a place where their night keeps happening over and over and over again, and they keep, without giving too much away. Okay, I hope I don't give too much away, but they basically die, and then they have to experience it again and figure out what to do. So it's a horror film. If you want to watch a horror film, it's not like anything great or rave, you know, you got to watch this. No, it's just watchable, even though we fell asleep. But yeah, so that's what I have for you. All right, Renee, thank you so much for your recommendations. I can't wait to watch The House of Guinness. I have that in the back of my head that I'm going to try and watch it. I'm still going to make it to the theaters, I hope, to watch A Long Walk that you had recommended 2 weeks ago, I think. I know. I'm trying. There's just so much going on, but I'm going to try really hard to go watch that. And just also, I am still watching The Last Kingdom. It truly is like something I love watching every Saturday. We watch several episodes. I think we're on season 5. It's the last season. I think it might end with season 5, and then there's supposed to be a movie. So it's all on Netflix, but I absolutely love it. I love the characters. It's so good to, when you find like Game of Thrones or anything else, there's a family and you just are just, they avenge their family and they, It's just good, just plain good. All right. Sorry, I got sidetracked. Okay, Renee, thank you for your recommendations and for joining me today. I appreciate you.
Yes, I appreciate being asked. I love it.
All right, friends out there, we are so glad that you joined us. We hope we've given you some insight, something to think about, talk about. Remember to follow Screens in Focus at screensinfocus.com and share this podcast with a friend. We would love that. And remember to keep watching, keep exploring, and keep those screens in focus. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.